algebra people, we are going to finish up chapter 2 today. So we're going to do 2.10 and 2.11, which is the extension. So in 2.10, this is all about percent increase and decrease. And basically, to figure that out, you just need to know the amount of increase or decrease and divide by the original amount. So if the problem says from 50 to 60, so like if you were going to buy something for $50 and it increased to $60, and you wanted to know what percent increase that is, it's an increase because it's getting bigger. So the amount it went up is 10 and the original amount is 50. So you would just do 10 divided by 50, which in the calculator, you don't even need a calculator because you could reduce that, and then 1 over 5 is 0.2. So that is a 20% increase. It is as simple as that. So we'll do one more. If you had something that was $30 and it went to $22.50, you would first need to figure out the amount that it went down. So this one's going to be a decrease. So 22.50 minus 30. If you want your calculator, we're going to need it in a minute anyways. You can get that out. So you get 7.5, and then you would need to divide by the original, which is 30, to get 0.25. Original. And 0.25 is a 25% decrease. So if something went 25% off, it would be $22.50. So another way to think about that is 30 times 0.25, 25% off should be how much you're getting off. So that's going to give you $7.50. And then you would have to subtract 30 minus $7.50 to get the final answer. Instead of multiplying by 0.25, you could actually multiply by 0.75. That means that you're keeping 75% and you're losing 25%. And if you did that in the calculator, you would actually get 22.5. If you want me to show you so you could believe me, oops. Voila. And if we go back to the first problem, you could multiply 50 times a 20% increase. You would want to add the 1 in front of the 20%. So this is like 1 plus the rate if it's increasing, and that will give you 60. And this, if it's decreasing, is 1 minus the rate, which was the 25, and that's how you get 0.75. I don't know if we're going to do more with that later in the year, but it just is sort of helpful to know what you would need to multiply by. So there's a bunch of sample problems on page 138 and 139 in your book. And then we're going to jump to page 148 for the extension, and this is some absolute value work. And basically, just understand that if you have something like the absolute value of 7, or x, the absolute value of x equaling 7, there are two answers to that. That is x could equal 7 and it could also equal negative 7 because the absolute value of a negative is a positive. Absolute value is the measure of distance. You could write that as well. That means positive or negative 7. If you had something like the absolute value of negative 10, that is no solution because you will never get a negative when you're taking the absolute value. So the absolute value of x equaling 1/3, go ahead and try that. Hopefully you got positive or negative 1/3. So we're going to step it up a teeny tiny notch here. If you have the absolute value of x plus 3 equaling 9, you would actually solve two mini problems. So you would try to figure out what makes x plus 3 equal to 9, but you also need to figure out what makes x plus 3 equal to negative 9, because that also will work because the absolute value of negatives is positive. So we're just going to solve each of these. So 6 is one of the solutions, and the other solution is negative 12. And if you want to test both of those, you could. Negative 12 minus 3 is negative 9. Yup, that works. 6 plus 3 is 9. Yup, that works. If you have something like this, you would need to first isolate the absolute value, just like we've been doing. So you would divide both sides by negative 2. So now you have the absolute value of x equals 6. Well, you again have two solutions, positive or negative 6. We'll do 5 times the absolute value of x minus 1 equals 30. First step would be to divide by 5. So now you have the absolute value of x minus 1 equals 6. You then have two problems that you're working with. X minus 1 equals 6. You also have x minus 1 equaling negative 6. So you solve each of them and you're going to get two solutions for this problem. So both of those make that work. Feel free to plug them in and test them. I'm going to give you a couple sample problems to try and then we'll go over them. All right, go ahead and hit pause, and when you are done, hit play. Oops. Okay, the very first one, you would add 7 first because you're undoing the order of operations. So 2 absolute value of x equals 10. The next step would be to divide by 2. So the absolute value of x equals 5. So your solution is positive or negative 5. In number 8, your first step would be to subtract 10. So now you have 4 absolute value of x plus 1 equals 8. The second step would be to divide by 4. Now you have absolute value of x plus 1 equals 2. So now you have your two problems, x plus 1 equals 2 and x plus 1 equals negative 2. So your two solutions are 1 and negative 3. In the next one, you would first divide by 3. And if at any point you're getting an absolute value equaling a negative, it is no solution, just reminding you again. You have two problems at this point. X plus 2 is equal to 6 and x plus 2 is equal to negative 6. So you solve each of them. One of your solutions is 4. The other solution is negative 8. We'll do an opening problem tomorrow. I'll give it to you right now if you want, with a story problem. So this is what we will start with tomorrow. My walkie-talkie has a range of 3 miles. Write an equation to find the max and min mile marker I will reach if I am on Highway 96 at mile marker 110, which is the Okemos exit. Very exciting. Have a beautiful night.